John Gong is a professor of economics at the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing. He also works with the Global Economics Group, a consulting firm based here in the U.S. Professor Gong, thanks for joining us. We're now 5 years into the Belt and Road Initiative. Would it be fair to call it a success thus far, and if so, by what measures?
Well, I guess at least I would give it 80 points out of a scale of 100, I guess. This initiative is mostly about building infrastructures mostly in developing countries where there's a lack of infrastructure for facilitating commerce and trade. So I think there are some problems that we have seen so far, but overall I think it's still quite successful. It definitely builds a lot of infrastructure around the world, especially I would say in in Asia, in Africa, and trade as a result definitely has increased. So I think overall it's a success.
You talked about trade increasing. I'm wondering how it's helped the Chinese economy. Is it boosting Chinese exports or making imports to China cheaper?
It happens in a couple of ways. First of all, infrastructure investment requires a lot of, for example, buying equipment, heavy lifting equipment, bulldozers, stuff like that. It also facilitates building up, for example, cement, steel, all these things, some of it actually coming from China. We also have another model here. Usually it's a port in the front and an industrial park in the back. And the industrial park will bring in investments for a lot of sort of lower-end, labor-intensive manufacturing. And that also facilitates exports of equipment as well.
What would you say have been some of the key projects to date?
Well, there are a couple of very important ones. I guess the Djibouti project comes to mind immediately. I mean that's quite a success. And also the projects in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa. I mean that was in the news, I guess, in CNN as well. They provided extensive coverage about a footwear manufacturing factory out there that employs about 20,000 people. These are mostly local workers. That's a huge job creation project for Ethiopia. Stuff like that are very successful, in my opinion.
Now, the Trump administration is hoping to double the amount of overseas financing it does through a consolidated, but albeit expanded version of the U.S. Treasury's private lending arm. Part of that aim is to compete with China. So can it do so in that respect?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily recommend positioning fundings from the U.S. sort of as a competing source. I mean, both countries can cooperate, and there are synergies in facilitating these kinds of activities. As a matter of fact, I know, for example, UK is very interested, and some other European countries as well are interested in coordinating efforts like this. I mean, in a sense, it is both a investment project as well as assistance project, development projects in terms of helping with the local economy in accordance with the local national development plans. And both countries, I mean, trilateral international assistance and development projects like this actually is quite becoming an important trend in recent years. So I won't really recommend positioning this as a competing source. I mean, there are areas of cooperation between the two countries. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even root the United States out of the Belt and Road Initiative at all. I mean, I think there's a room even for United States participating in this as well. And Donald Trump has been talking about making America great again. Several months ago, I wrote an OPD article on CGTN saying that we can actually make America great again by using Chinese money. I mean, we have $3 trillion of foreign exchange reserves, buying treasury bills and bonds in the United States. And this money can be potentially used for partially funding the infrastructure build-outs in the U.S. And not build-outs, but improvement, I guess, in the United States.
We'll see if any of that happens anytime soon. Professor John Gong joining us live from Beijing. Thank you very much.